I love you all, my friends. Let's get the ball, my friends. Attention, all my friends.
Welcome to Tavern Talk, ladies and gentlemen. We are a full spoiler talk show based on the epic fantasy series Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. My name is Ryan, and joining me as always is my brother Dan, Beth Doman, and Jansen, Lashley Haynes, the Gleeman. We're here to continue on our geographical journey through the books. We're going chronological around book 4, and we're talking about the places we see in book 4. Brother Dan, you got great moves?
Thanks, man.
I remember to open the tavern door. We've been behind closed doors for so long. Everyone come on in.
It was a good thing you did. I was about to start dissing Drake in my spit. So.
Oh, Lord. Lord.
Back in the day, I used to actually play like crowd noises, like a tavern background talking noises during the tavern.
Yeah, with the
evolution of Tavern Talk, ladies and gentlemen.
Matt Stagger, $20. Gosh darn it! Thank you.
Yes.
You sexy man, you.
Matt
Alcohol
Stagger.
Doll will be the only bowl in the show. Oh, okay. Alcohol Doll.
The golden
All right,
bowl.
so where is that? Is that where they go to meet during the big freaking meetup?
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
It is.
That's where it rains in the race for the first time in thousands of years.
That's like the worst Coachella ever, by the way. Oh, gross. Like everyone's all angry. It's like riding up to like Sturgis, but it's all like these bike gangs just staring at you. We're doing a traveler's guide. Hey, we are Rick Steven.
You sound like a robot right now, Brother Dan.
Oh no.
I hear it.
Okay, let me
It's okay. So
Bubbles
to
Feeble,
get
as
on
usual.
to get on where Brother Dan just left off. We are on book 4 today, and we are going to be looking at all of the geographical things in book 4, which is actually my favorite book of the entire series. So I'm really, really happy we're talking about it today.
Oh, wow. Okay. Book 4.
It's my favorite book as well. Yes. Shadow Rising.
Tell
Best
me
book.
why. Tell me why. Why?
The Shadow Rising is my favorite book is because of how much they dwell into the past of the Aiel. And because of that, you see a lot of the things and you get a lot of information about the Age of Legends, about why a lot of the groups of people are why they are right now. And it gives you some explanations of why some of the people and some of the groups, like, I mean, on the forefront of that are the traveling people. We find out why they are who they are through this book. We also find out, and that being said, we find out why the Aiel are why the Aiel are in this book. And we get to see a lot of the things that we knew were going to happen. It's almost like reading a prequel inside of a prequel. In some of the things.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
And I love it. I love the information that we get. I love the amount of understanding that this book gives us for a lot of the things that happened in the book and a lot of the things that are going to happen in the book, and the other books as well.
Yeah, this book actually does show a much. I mean, we did start with just a little village, right? And then it branched out to a castle, and suddenly we're in the waste that most people travelers can't even get to, you know? Yeah.
And there's so much description of the waste in this book. And one of the descriptions pulled directly from the book that makes me understand a lot of the things in the waste are that when they are all traveling, they're never in a straight line. They even say it looks like a drunken snake. It's because there are no roads and there are no, highways and things like that in the waste. This is literally a very rugged, dry, hot area, at least during the day. And then at night, there's it turns different. It's extremely cold. So this is a very
Jensen,
rugged.
There's a lot of really awesome stuff that when you think about this, when you think Rand is discovering where he's from, right? He's finding out about his heritage. He's finding out about his lineage, and who he is to the Aiel people, as well as who he is to the Randlands, the Westlands. But at the same time, Perrin goes home. Perrin goes home back to the Two Rivers with Fael. And so the whole Perrin Fael story arc plays out in this book as well. I love that dichotomy of you had these 5 young people starting off on this adventure, right? They're forced to leave their home. You have somebody who's expanding their horizons so much more than you ever thought they would. And then at the same time, Perrin is going home, but he's bringing the outside world with him. And I love that vast difference between the two settings. That's why I love it so much, because you still get to see who the Two Rivers are. Then this is really when you start to see like how crafty and how resourceful there are, like Abel Cawthon and Tamal Thor and all the women in the women's circle. They're so steadfast, but they're so wily and crafty. And you start to see the subterfuge of the Aes Sedai a little bit more. It's just such a great book. You just you get the glimpses of greatness. I think it's the first time you get the glimpses of greatness from all of the people throughout the rest of the story. That's why I love this book.
I think the Two Rivers it personifies the idea of there are neither beginnings nor endings to the Wheel of Time. This was a beginning, because when you look at the Two Rivers, it's an ending for Manetheren. This is what happened to them, but it's also a beginning to Manetheren as well. This is where they're going. It's a great way to look at how Robert Jordan put this together.
Yeah. We learn about the Way of the Leaf.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yes,
we get to see how the Aiel cultures basically flipped from ultimate pacifism to the ultimate warrior clan. And we learn about the Way of the Leaf. I remember this like breaking my brain open when you go backwards, and then at the last moment in Ruidian, you get to see the Age of Legends, and you see flying cars, and you see everyone getting along, and you just see this idyllic place, and that I remember just melting me. I'd never read anything like that, and then it made me rethink like how all the buildings were like don't seem to be able to be built by the power, like the technology that they have now. They're living in structures that don't seem to be able to be like constructed with what they have. They're on horse and in cart, right? Like they have swords and shields, and they're making these crazy. Anyway, so it really kind of like melded the sci-fi and the fantasy. Like that moment really.
And the buildings obviously are because the heart of the reason why they can't make buildings like that anymore is because the male half of the source is the strongest in Earth, and the men are all gone. So unless you got 100 Egwenes, you're not going to be able to pull that off.
Yeah. Good point. All right. Well, then, where are we first finding ourselves in Shadow Rising? Well, we have yet to talk about Carhian for one. Like, and that started in book 3. And are we still in Carhian?
No, we start in Tyr, actually.
Yes,
we start in Tyr, and we start in Tyr with Matt Perrin with just about everybody actually in the books are in the stone. And we've talked a lot about Tyr. So I think we're going to move ahead to the next big place,
Um,
which is
but
Roy.
real quickly though, that moment though when they're all together, that's like the last time in the novels where we get those groupings, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
this is
That's the last time all of 5 of them are together.
are
Yes.
together. This is the very last time.
And we talked about the show, whether or not we thought that that's going to be the last time in the show also, right? Because they're all on the tower, dragons behind them,
And I think that is absolutely right. I think we are venturing off on the show in different directions. And I think we're going to find some startling things are going to start happening in the show a lot faster than they did in the books. So we're going to be going through a whirlwind of things in the show as far as geographical landscaping. And this is why in the show they're going to try to get to traveling as fast as they can. Because in all of the books up until the next two, maybe the next one more book, they used a lot of traveling for a lot of the writing in the book. And I'll call it, because they called it leaf takings a lot of different times in a lot of different chapters. But they used a lot of descriptive writing in the travels and in actually going places. Soon they're not going to have to do that. Now, that is a huge boon for a filmmaker because you don't have to worry about all those traveling things. You can use that as just flashbacks because that's what they really are anyway in the books as well.
All right, real quickly, are you guys hearing an echo?
Yes. I'm
All
hearing
right,
like a TV in the background or
like a show, like the show
an announcer or something.
Check this out. This is crazy. So early before the show, like I have like a trapped Google Chrome window that I can't close down. And I can't find it on my computer, and it's never happened before. I was on here trying to upload some stuff before the show, and then now it's like it shows that it's open and I just can't even find it. If anyone has any idea what to do, I'm gonna maybe go grab Kay's laptop because I can't figure this out just right now.
That sounds like a prank to me.
Ghost window.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, well I'll be back soon. Sorry guys.
Well, I'm glad that you're listening to our show.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get those
Ghost,
views up, you know?
Mr. Ghost.
Some brilliant little 5-year-old wanted to be a dick.
So I've spent a little time in Joshua Tree National Park.
Yes.
And that environment, the temperatures, everything reminds me of the West.
I agree. Wholeheartedly.
So anywhere and that's up near like the Mojave Desert. The Mojave goes into Death Valley. It extends, and Ryan had that picture up. I'm not sure if I can get it. I'll see if I can. But it looks like this is, all right. Is this it?
No.
Nope. No. But it looks like what he had up was a
I think it was a map
like
of
a valley.
Waste.
Yeah, it was. It was more or less a big valley, which is the high desert, which is what Death Valley is when it goes down to its lowest point. But it starts off in Palm Springs, which is super hot. So all that stuff reminds me of the Waste, and I can't imagine people choosing to live out there, but they do. But there's golf courses and air conditioning.
It is what the Trollocs call the dying ground.
Right, but I'm thinking that back in the day, there were cats out there trying to find silver and stuff, and they weren't going to kill you with knives. They were probably too dehydrated, but still, there were people that chose to live out there that I never fathomed. And reading about the Aiel Waste, I always think about that time. I mean, Death Valley they have a place called Bad Water. They have a place called the Devil's Furnace. It's
but think about though, all throughout the Southwest, there's like all kinds of ancient ruins from indigenous peoples here in the United States. That very arid, dry. We see the ruins in documentaries and stuff like that, and so People can
I think
adapt
the
to live
waste.
anywhere.
I think the waste was the bottom of the ocean floor in the Age of Legends.
Possible. Very
Hmm.
possible.
There are a few times where there was even one time where Rand pulls Asmodean over while they're walking towards the Dragon Wall, and they can see docks up in the
Yeah.
mountain.
Ancient cities.
Yep, and they can see the dock. And I'm like, yeah, I think that the ocean's changed, and I think that the waste was the ocean floor.
I love this. Come on, nerds. Yeah, help us out. Our tech nerds. Hey, yeah. Parents says she's a hammer on Chrome.
I get that. But
Let's did we talk about Kyrian? Let's talk about Kyrian before we jump full waste. Can we? Did
Kyrian?
we? Did we?
Is Kyrian even in book
I don't
4?
think so.
It's not in book 4.
It
They go
said
from
it
Tyr
was.
and then Rand.
They go
Rand
tier
uses-
to Roydion.
Right, Tyr to Viridian.
Okay. Then we'll wait
Viridian.
on Kyrian. Okay.
Yeah.
All
they go
right.
tier-
So yeah. So they go. All right. So they go into the waste. Let's talk about the IO culture, I guess, a little bit. There are no visitors really allowed. They allow peddlers. They allow
Gleeman.
tinkers.
And
they
Gleeman.
allow Gleeman.
That's it.
Yeah.
With the exception of one very, very determined, very daughter heir named Tigraine,
Tigran.
who was accepted into the Tardad Fardismai. And that was it. Their culture has been forming itself privately for thousands of years, almost 3,000 years. They've been doing that since then. And they like we said before, they started off as a very pacifist group of people who were dedicated to peace, and that started changing. And in these books, we go far back in Rand's ancestral line, and we go as far back to a man named Charn, who at the time was an Aiel for a very popular Aes Sedai named Mirren. And Charn got to witness the start of the War of Power. He got to witness the opening of the rift that let the Dark One touch the world. And this sent his, little beknownst to him, his entire culture on a downward spiral to forsake their oaths of pacificity, I guess that's what we'd say, and start killing each other and honing their skills. And it is something that they call one of the punishments that they were given for doing that, just that.
Well, the Gen were told, hey, take all this shit, all these Angreal, these Turangreal, Sangreal, Angreal, Omega Angreal, some Alpha, and take them and hide them. Go out, go far. Just go and hide them. And so they are the ones that built the city. Viridian did not exist before they got there. It was just it was like Vegas. They just decided they were going to plant right there in the middle of the fucking desert and open a casino.
And the leader of this group of Aiel at the time was another ancestor of Rand, and his name was Jonai.
Nice.
And Jonai got all the people together, a multitude of Aiel, all followers of the Way of the Leaf, hundreds of thousands of people, all carrying Korra tree clipping and
nice timing, right?
being cast out by the Aes Sedai to keep these items that they were given. and it was thousands of items, many items of power and things that the Aiel didn't even know what they were used for, or what they were. They were all put in boxes, and some of the more notable items that the Aiel had with them were a twisted red framed doorway.
Mhm.
Also, one of two Terangriel statues that held glass crystal balls, that were also called the Shoadan Call. And Rand used these two instruments with Nynaeve later on in the books to cleanse the source.
Spoilers for Winter's Art.
Spoilers for anybody who's watching this. I'm very sorry. Thank you, Beth. And there were many other things that Moraine tried to get and take from Roydion to the White Tower. Now, whether or not all of those items made it to the White Tower, there's no way that she could have gotten all of them from Roydion, but whether or not they made it still remains to be seen. I don't know how much they said about them getting there, actually.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, what were they called? Wise ones? They had channeling back then, right? They must have. Did they talk about it much?
The Aiel? Well, the Aiel, even the Aiel tested for the power back then. It is actually in Charn's POV that he was tested and did not have the gift. So we know that the Aiel were tested, even the Aiel along with everyone else were tested for the one power, which makes sense.
Well, after all this happens, we find out that there is so much loot in Ruidi. That wagons fill, like a whole train of wagons are filled with magic stuff.
Yes. And they are in the square in Roydion. And just to pedal back just a little bit about something, I don't know if we've told the audience or the people listening.
There's some really bad feedback right now. There's like a screeching, whining noise. I don't know if anyone else can hear
when I speak.
Let me
it's
see if
just constant in the background.
I muted Jansen. I think it might be you, Betty. Wait, okay, I'm going to mute Jansen. Can you still hear it? Are we hearing it? All
no.
Right. Okay.
Now can you hear it?
Yeah. I don't know if it's just me. I have headphones in. I don't know if you guys have headphones in, but
no, I'm hearing it too.
But I just have it. I just have them low, I guess.
Let's see if I can.
Yeah, maybe turn them down.
Okay.
But this is also where Rand finds the access keys.
Yes.
For the Cohen Call.
It's where he
finds
yes.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest cities in the book. This is where Matt goes through the doorway. This is where Rand goes through the rings.
They actually they speak of the scale of Roydion with Matt's POV in the very first two paragraphs of chapter 24, which is called Roydion. And it says to Matt that through Matt's POV, they walk a mile into Roydion, into a square in the center of the city, which is the square is also a mile long.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a gigantic. I mean, I always think of Central Park, or when I think of Tarvalon, I think of Manhattan, but this is a very large city.
I think they also described the streets that they were walking on being wide enough to fit like 10 carts full sideways or something. It was enormous boulevards.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, why would they make it so big? I mean, it was supposed to be this hidden place, kind of.
You know, I think that it was made for the future.
Okay. Go on.
I think that the Aes Sedai that helped build Roydion. Now, this is a hard one. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to remember this name. It's for what's her name? She was the Aes Sedai who was so old that her skin looked like parchment.
Oh God, Jesus.
She was
I
one of
believe
the
in
Aes
Jansen.
Sedai that his name was Roydon. When he went to the Aiel, what was her name? I can't remember it, but
It's all right. The chat will tune in.
Yeah, but I believe that they had the gift of foretelling, and I believe that they saw Roydion in the future, just like a future in the Aiel's future, just like Rand saw it in the Memory of the Light. The Memory of Light.
Okay.
That's what I get, but I could be wrong.
So,
All right, so
just by the way, we had talked. I had put out. We were asking about the size of the countries last week, and so I went on Reddit and asked, "Hey guys, how big are the countries?" And I got some pretty good answers. I have one. Here's a rough thing. I mean, so this guy says the Westlands are 7,299,234 miles squared. But these are they're Randland miles, which are 6,000 feet as opposed to 5,280 or whatever. But here is the list. Andor is about the size of Peru, about 500,000 miles square. Cairn, it doesn't say. Saldea, it doesn't say. Altara, Ethiopia. Terrebonne, Nigeria. Ardoman, France. Ilion, Thailand, which is, I don't know. Tyr is the size of Spain, more or less. I can't read these ones. Shinar is about the size of Japan. Malkir is about the size of Poland. Maine is about the size of Belize. So,
Okay, so that's kind of crazy when you put it in that.
Hell
those
yeah,
terms.
it is.
But also, let's look at this. Google tells me that Europe, the continent of Europe, is 3.93 million square miles. Randland is 7+ million square miles.
7.3. Let's round up.
So that
So
makes
are we-
Randland way bigger than America.
Saldea is the size of Colombia.
So are we talking about Pangea? Going back to that conversation, if the continent of Randland is 7 million square miles, is there a land? Well, maybe China is there. Like what? We're in. You know what I'm talking about? Like the idea that like continents were squished together before plate tectonics.
I mean, I think it's a combination of Eurasia. I picture
Yeah,
Europe plus
that's exactly
Russia
I agree.
/ some China is what we see of
Yeah.
Randland,
So like squished
right?
together though, right?
Well, not really. Think about how big Asia is.
Yeah, it's
Look
huge.
at our friend step up. Mordain and Nerys. Let's ask Whataholic. He's our Mordain and Nerys. He gestured to the women.
No,
beside
that's
him.
right. Asia is huge. It's parts of it are in
Okay.
India and in Russia.
All right. Asia is 17 million square miles.
Yeah, so you're looking at
7.2.
what, like Shanshan is like North America, South America, right? And you've got Europe, and then west of Europe or east of Europe is Asia. I mean, it's separated by the Ural Mountains, if I'm correct. I could be wrong. I don't know. My geography's terrible.
So these
But-
are the Westlands. So it's from the spine west. This
Right.
does not cover
So-
the waist.
right.
Does not
But you can't use current geography to measure what it is. But you're looking at like in a scope. If you wanted to transplant a map of Randland over current continents, it would be all of Europe and Russia, Mongolia, maybe a little bit of North Africa.
Yeah.
All of that area would encompass where Randland is.
Yep.
You have to remember that all of those areas are very close together. I mean, North Africa and Europe are literally like the Mediterranean Sea is separating North Africa and Europe, like, Strait of Gibraltar, Morocco.
Alaska is bigger than any nation in Randland.
I
On the
believe it.
west. In the
Yeah,
west.
definitely. Because yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
But all the 5 largest nations are larger than any other state besides that. So they're all between Texas and Alaska size. Okay. Yeah. That was informative.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
All right, so this is Asia, and that's 17 million square miles.
Your
Randland's
mom is
7.
17. Sorry.
So it could be like, yeah, if you were to like squish Africa into Europe and Asia and kind of push those all together. But then, yeah, no. So I mean, what we're trying to figure out, like, it's this book's on Earth, right? But we know that in modern understanding of like how continents formed, like it took a lot of time. So we're talking about like different ages. The literal continent structures might
But are we
literally be
also
different.
No, but we're
also
talking about the breaking of the world,
Yeah,
where
the breaking
thousands of
that's what I
years
was
of stuff
saying.
happened in a very short amount of time because mountain
And-
ranges were raised,
Yeah, and
seas were.
oceans
I mean,
change and everything. Yeah.
You know what? So when I first read this, I thought literally everything was folklore, and breaking of the world was their cute little way of explaining plate tectonics. No, literally, yeah. Like, imagine I read the entire series thinking like these are just like small folk like trying to make sense of their world. That's funny. We can move on from this. I think it's fascinating discussion. Yeah, thanks for asking Reddit. Thanks, Reddit.
Yeah, no, they stepped up, and we got to get a glimpse of kind of what size we're going on, and also it was an extensive thing that they did. They took like, all right, in the book it says it's 500 miles from here to here, so they're like, all right, 500 miles means 450 to 550. All right, so we'll do this, but they used all these triangulations to get these numbers. It's a really good read if you guys like maps and stuff.
All right, back to thank you, Wadaholic. Dark-eyed Deandra faced her with a more usual calm. I am not the creator. I can only tell you what I foretell. Peace, sister. Celinda was the calmest of them all. Thanks. What's that in reference to? It's a continued quote.
That she's talking to Jonai and to Semestra. Well, they're sitting and listening to them because they're making Kalendor right now.
I just want to remind everyone that Jansen does not have notes.
No,
He's not such a great actor that he has like notes all over the place and his eyes aren't moving. He's just like he's just literally spilling this shit from his head.
Well, I'm right. That's right, Beth. Isn't that when they were sitting down and the Luz Theron's
Kalendor was already made though, and they had the dragon's
Kalendor.
banner, and they had the horn of Valir, and they were getting ready to protect them. That's why Shemesta was there, because he
And then
becomes
Jonai's POV says, "Why wasn't that thrown away and all the memory of the cursed man as well?" He says something to that effect.
something to that effect. Yeah.
Now so back to Viridian. Is Viridian Viridian's full of magical devices and
Just silly with it,
right?
So much.
Are there like riches in Viridian? Are the Aiel?
There is the most wealthiest item in the entire waste is
Love.
in Roidion,
The
below
iPad?
the earth and
The water from
which
the
is
wells,
ocean,
from the fountains.
an ocean of fresh water. So yes, Roidion is
Suddenly it's Lake Tahoe.
Wait.
Yeah.
Weren't there, and I could be mistaken because I don't go back and reread books before we go on the show. I just go off my memory. But weren't there gold rooftops in Ruidian?
Ooh, I don't know.
I can't remember. I could be wrong.
I feel like
wrong.
I remember that. And I
I'm
don't
probably
remember.
wrong. I'm probably wrong. Never mind.
But are the Aiel like forsaking wealth on purpose? Could they just be like, all right, we're sick of this desert. Let's go sell like some of these items and like
No, in fact they're the exact opposite of people that do that, at least for all of them, with the exception of maybe the Shido. Because if remember, it's Rand's POV, but Rorik tells him that greed kills men faster than anything, and they believe in taking 1/5 all place that they have raided or come across in fighting.
Yeah, if someone like entered my home illegally and then they just said, "I'm only going to take a fifth," I'd probably appreciate that.
That's it. I'm not going to kill you.
I mean, but you also have to remember, though, like in regards to the Aiel culture, right? Remember when Haddon and Kadir's wagons come during this book when they meet up and they're like, "We're going to travel with you," and the things. One of the things that the Aiel wanted the most was books. And that, I think it was Matt's POV where he was so shocked that they'd want books. Who'd want books? Why do you want books? Because they take such store in knowledge, and you can't. They probably can't make their own books in the Aiel Waste, so they're going to treasure those types of things. And then the things that people in the Westlands took for were considered like treasured items, like when Bane and Shead and Gaul go and they give Maren Alvir the
salt shakers,
like the salt and pepper shakers that are like gold gilt or whatever. And
I think they get one from Gaul and one from them.
Yeah. And so it's like the what's common to the Aiel, because it's not useful. It doesn't really, it has wealth. It has worth in the eyes for trading, but it's not useful. So they don't mind parting with those things. Whereas like in the Westlands, like that could probably feed a village for a month, right? If they were to trade that to somebody. So it's really interesting to see what's considered precious in the eyes of the Aiel verse in the Westlands.
Well, speaking of precious, this before we get the water, this was a city completely enshrouded in fog, and it was a rare occasion for anyone to visit. For you to be granted access to the city, 4 wise ones had to agree that you were worthy to go there. Yes. And you step through this wall of fog, more or less. You see these giant arches. You see this beautiful city, big old fountain, and you see Avendasora. The tree of life. And Avendasora, the sapling that was given to the Kyrian, started off this entire story.
I always thought about that. I wonder who the Aiel was who was granted permission to go to Roidion, but also told to climb the tree and cut a clipping.
Right.
It had to be that way, right? Because you're only allowed to go once. So it had to be somebody like that who went, right?
Like by order of like the council, right?
So whoever had, somebody not only became a wise one or a clan chief, but also was given the responsibility of climbing.
I bet the dream told them to do it. I bet a dream walker.
I agree. Yeah. Somebody was. I agree.
Yeah,
I definitely agree. I just wonder who it was who did it.
That's a great thought. I haven't thought about that. Yeah, it was just a gift, but how'd they get it?
There is an Aiel wise one that Bear talks about, and that Amis talks about. Now I cannot remember her name, but she supposedly moved a mountain at one point and was a dream walker and was the one who told Bane, who told Egwene that if someone really loved you or hated you with all of their heart, then they could draw you to them in the dream.
Oh, I remember that. And that's where she ended up with Gawain's dream. Yeah.
So
Radiant dream virginity.
Radiant might be the most important city that we have in this story.
Absolutely.
Like maybe in all the books.
In all the books. This might be the most vital city in the entire structure. Nothing happens if Rand doesn't go to he finds the access keys. He sees the history of his ancestry. He saves Matt, who gets to go through the rings or the doorway. All of that. He brings water back to the waste.
Roidion also gave Matt the memories that gave him the ability to be the greatest general in the world in the last battle.
And he got the 2 dragons on his arms.
Mm-hmm.
Not 1, 2. This was Ruinian did this.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Fucking Ruinian, guys. How about give a hand for Ruinian? Clap, 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 clap. Let's jump real fast to the Alcar doll. Is that?
Alcar
Let's
doll, the golden bull.
So this is the amphitheater. This is the Red Rocks. This is the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh.
Yeah. Yo, me rock!
Yeah.
Beautiful venue. If you've never gone to see a concert at Red Rocks, you got to do it at least once in your life.
I am going this summer. I'm going to his house.
I saw the Grateful Dead play there in 95 or 96.
Nice.
Do you remember it?
I do. Part of it. At least walking in.
Okay,
I
then
remember
it's a good
walking
show.
in.
Yeah. That's like it is this natural amphitheater, and this is kind of what the Alcar doll is as well. This is large enough to fit every sept, every freaking Aiel can fit in this place. So again, this reminds me of Joshua Tree and some of these huge rock formations that kind of just go on forever. But it is also a sacred place, I guess, not because of tradition, I guess, because this is where there's a pact. What is it? Wise Ones Pact.
There is a pact. It's the same kind of pact that they have with all the clans when someone is making a journey to Roidion.
Yes,
and it is a pact of peace. It is when you're on your way to Al Kardal for a meeting, or on your way home or on your way to someplace from Al Kardal, there is kind of a peace shield that you have amongst yourselves, and that is another very warped drawback from the eel culture and them being pacifists.
Yeah, and it's tough, man. Everyone is just gripping their spears. They're just like, give me a reason. Give me just dirty stone dogs. You dirty black ears. You dirty whatever.
Black ears?
Yeah, I don't know.
Nice.
Black
just
ears.
like just
I think I just combined Game of Thrones.
Yeah, because they used to, but they do in Ranland. There is a saying that they have, like some jargon that they call people a black veiled Aiel or black eyed Aiel.
Black-eyed Aiel.
Black-eyed Aiel. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk, I guess, about a tiny bit about the culture. There are several different clans.
13.
And then within these clans, there are septs, correct?
Yes.
Different branches of the same. So a clan would be, say, like Christianity, and then there would be like, well, I'm a Protestant, I'm a Baptist, I'm a Lutheran, right? Kind of like that. But they're all
but they have societies.
Okay.
Which I would say would be the next branch from the clan. Because what do they say? Something before society before. Oh no, they used to say society
It's
before
clan
clan.
sept hold, right? Clan sept hold.
Okay.
And
before bros. Yeah. I'm sorry. Clan sept hold. Okay. That makes sense.
And societies are independent of clans, and so
Yes.
you could have blood feud. Your clans could have blood feud, but if you're members of the same society, the fact that you're in a society makes you brothers or sisters. Like that's why Bane and Chiad, their septs clans were warring, but when they were both Vardar or Ismai, they became first sisters. So since they're now first sisters, their Bane is welcome with Chiad, and Chiad is welcome with Bane. So the blood feud no longer applies to them because they're first sisters now.
And
So
with Rand, the coming of the Kara Karn, he a lot of
yes,
people don't talk about this, but he also, when this happened, he also inadvertently created another society called the Brotherless,
Right.
which all joined their societies with the Shido Aiel because they could not take Rand, a wetlander, being their leader and their Kara Karn.
Well, not
Do we
only
know-
that, but at the Alcardal, Rand spilled every bean there was.
exactly.
Yes.
So it wasn't just that they weren't accepting Rand; it was the fact
Yes.
that they were ashamed. They were ashamed of their heritage, that they
And-
felt as a society they'd been lied to.
They've been
For,
lied to. And they
thousands
developed
of years.
something which they started calling the bleakness.
which I love.
Yes,
Such a great
the
name.
bleakness was
Did they open for the cure?
something that started.
No, that
they
was my
called it bleakness,
teenage
and it-
years.
Yeah,
No,
every
sorry, yeah,
day,
go on.
more and more Aiel would leave, and I believe it was Bear or Soralia that said that they were the tree bark, the weak bark of the ironwood, and the real true Aiel would stay. But every day they were losing more and more Aiel to the bleakness, and they would leave. And they would not just all go to the Shido. Some went to Farmatting, where they thought it was a place where they could go and be lifelong Gai Shane. And some just stayed Gai Shine and decided that they were going to go back to what they were. And the only way they knew how to do it was to stay Gai Shine.
That's amazing. So Jansen, you got to leave at 5 exactly, right?
Yes, I do. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so I'm gonna just a little tease. If Beth, if you want to stick around, I would love to talk about that whole concept. I have a lot of thoughts about identity in Wheel of Time, and I
Absolutely.
figured we can. Yeah. So we'll go to 5:30, but Jansen will leave at 5, and we'll just kind of broaden the discussion. All right, but yeah, like I've always loved the bleakness. I always thought it was fascinating. I was wondering what the commentary was about, you know. Yeah, right. Thank you. Dan knows I wrote poetry. It was all fucking depressing. There we go.
So good.
I love that. The something else about the Aiel culture that we haven't really spoken about is, every culture in all of the Wheel of Time does something different, because right now in the Wheel of Time, when you're a man that can channel, there are different things that different cultures do to deal with that, because the male half of the source is tainted. And with the Aiel culture, they do a very Aiel thing. They look at it face to face, they understand what they are, and they decide to go on a suicide mission to kill the Dark One and spit in Sightblinder's eye. The Dark One later on, we find, uses that against them. And
Right, that was the most not in my backyard reaction of the whole book. They're like, go, bye. Na, 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 na. Oh, wait, you didn't die? The end.
And if you notice something about the Aiel culture, at least from what I got, the 3 greatest insults ever done to the Aiel people were what Layman did, what the Dark One did to all of those men, what Shan Chan did to the Shido Wise Ones. The Aiel were most mad about those 3 things in the entire series.
I always found it curious that they called him layman, and now it makes me wonder if the commentary is that like the specialized knowledge. Like, did he know when he cut down that tree that was going to cause a war? And if he did, would he have done it?
I don't think he knew, but I think his Aes Sedai advisor did.
And that's great. But also, but I like the idea that the layman doesn't understand the nuances.
Very good. I like that.
Of the other, so it was like
He was
a
a layman.
layman's decision. It's just like, it was a throwaway decision without understanding like the cultural significance. A lot of lessons there. I like that.
I like that. And so, do we know whether those Aiel that came back that had the filed down teeth were they actually were
They
they
were
recruited or were they were turned?
They were turned, yeah, by
okay.
Murdral and Dark Chillers.
So
Okay.
now, when Rand cleansed the Tate, did he just make that army more powerful?
No, because when you, I don't, aren't, what's
I think they have the Dark
Dreadlords?
One's
Aren't
protection.
Dreadlords have the protection because they have the Dark One's
They have the Dark
protection. The
One's
Dreadlords
protection.
do, like just like the Forsaken do, because that's when Rand cut Asmodean's connection.
And
to
we know that he could.
the Dark
We
One.
know that the Dark One can do that because Lanfear told Rand that he could.
Yeah,
didn't have
Lanfear
to
told
command.
Rand that, and remember,
Yeah.
Lanfear like shielded Asmodean, right? She shielded him so that he would only be able to channel a trickle just enough to train Rand, to teach Rand things. So
Oh, that's crazy. So, like, if you just become a Dark Friend channeler, then you don't go crazy.
I think
Okay.
that's correct.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah.
Because I was wondering how it, like, I mean, that. Oh man, like,
But you have to
people are always
understand
wondering,
that
like,
those Aiel, right? The Aiel men who find out they can channel and they go into the waste to go kill Trollocs, or go north to go kill Trollocs and Shadowspawn and whatever. They end up being turned. They're already insane because the madness has already been taking them before they're turned. So they were already.
How do we know
One
that?
last thing I want
Yeah.
to say before I leave, because I
Yeah,
think this is
Jansen.
the funniest, coolest thing ever, is as nasty and as dank and as poisonous and as just as the taint was, it was the medicine that Rand needed to save the world. Because without the
Interesting.
taint, he would never, ever, ever have had the madness that helped him have the memories to help him save it.
True.
Jesus.
All right.
All right, Jansen, go make money. I love you, my man.
Yeah.
We'll see you next
Love you
week.
guys too. You guys
Bye,
stay safe,
Jansen.
everyone. God bless you all.
Yeah, love.
All right.
There he is. I missed him already. All right, so let's go back to this. Beth, I thought that it was only Forsaken that had that little cord from the Dark One.
They do, but there's protection given. They're not getting any more insane when they become, allied with. Think about the folks who were allied under what's his name, Mazrim Time, right? From the Black Tower. The madness, you don't ever hear about the madness taking them, other than up to a certain point. Because when Mazrim Taim recruits all of them, he has become a Forsaken. We don't know that at the time, but he has become a Forsaken, and all that starts happening before the taint is cleansed. The male before Sidene is cleansed.
Right. It sounds like a poll
I think
to
it's
me.
alluded to. I think it's
All right,
alluded to.
We could do a poll, but also, like, did I know that Mazrim Taim was a Forsaken? Like, honestly,
I
God, like,
didn't
that
know
sounds...
until, I always thought he was Demandred, right? Like that was the whole Taimandred.
Yeah, I thought that was the
thing.
debate. I didn't know he just was his own.
No,
Forsaken.
he was recruited, so it got changed, and he was recruited by Demandred. That
But
was
then-
the thing. Like,
But he was like upgraded.
yeah,
To
he was
a Forsaken?
upgraded. You didn't know he was turned into a Forsaken. He was Mahale. He becomes a Forsaken, and he ends up in the.
All right,
in the
all right.
Yeah,
You're right.
Demandred introduces him as Mahale, and he is now, or Warden does, somebody does. He's now Mahale, and he's one of the chosen.
Jesus Christ! I thought. Okay, my head.
He
Okay,
he got promoted, and people get relegated, right? It's like British soccer.
That's a great point. All right, what's the poll, Dan?
Wait.
Yeah.
Whether dark male channelers would go crazy or not eventually. Whether the taint affects dark channelers.
Okay. All right. Got it.
All right. I
Keep
think
talking.
once you're Forsaken, you're cool. You get the Dark One bump. I think the Dark One's got too much going on. He was given that freedom to hundreds and thousands of these IU. No way. But I'm not going to taint the jury. I'll retract my statements. I apologize. Objection sustained. Watch yourself, counselor.
Well, yeah. I mean, the question of what was Demandra doing if he wasn't Mahal, if he wasn't Mazrim Taim, like I always thought he was just like, well, I mean, I never thought about the madness, but like
you never
the
knew what
whole,
Demandred was doing or Master Time was doing.
No, Demandred, because he was missing.
Demandred was over in Shara.
Yeah,
No,
they
yeah,
mentioned it, but
I'm talking about like, yeah, like while reading the books, trying to piece it together, and then people still debate like what was he up to, and like yeah,
did you
like
guys ever read the short story that Brandon Sanderson wrote about his backstory, Bow the Wild? If you haven't read it, you need to read it. It's excellent. It's a short story that talks about how Demandred received the Sangreal. And it was a whole quest. He pretended to be Rand, basically, to the Sharans. And yeah, you got to read it. It's in a book called Unfettered, which was, it's in a Reversal. Thank you. Very good. It's a short story. It's not long. It's written by Brandon Sanderson.
I'm with you, Callie.
And it tells how he fulfilled the prophecy to get the Sharans to follow him. It was edited out of the last books. It's in a short story anthology called Unfettered. An author named Sean Speakman, who I'm a huge fan of, put that book series together, that short story anthology together. You should read it. It's really good. Don't listen to the audiobook narration though, because they call him Bow the Wild, and that drives me crazy. So just read the book. Just read the short story. It's excellent. It's really good.
I'm now pretty convinced that Kate Redding does the Mogadine thing to fuck with AI. She knew that they were coming for her job, and she it's like does not compute. Does not compute.
All right, everyone. The poll is live. Let's get your opinions.
We have 10 votes. That's you guys. Apparently, this is why democracy dies.
Yeah, in darkness. All right, this is a good point. Lightbliner Full says, but the true power makes you go crazy faster than the one power. So, yeah, it might have been something.
Though it's the Sa'a.
That Sa'a is like what happens. That's like the happy ending. Like that's a byproduct of.
I pretended I had Sa'a the other day. You ever get like those tiny little floaties? In your eye? I had one, and I was like, so you lift it up, and then you stare at it as it falls, right? And then you look up, and it flies back up, and then you stare at it as it goes. And I was like, this is what Sa'a is like the entire time, and I'm down with it. I would be so distracted
all the time.
Do you ever get? Yeah, they're weird. They look like amoebas and aliens in your eyeball.
I live with them constantly because I have very thin retinas, and that's what causes that. And it's so yes.
Well,
I get floaties all the time.
Do your retinal exercises. Come on, get them, make them swole.
Do your eye kegels. Blink a lot. What? I don't know.
No. When I was a kid, like I used to focus. I used to focus on those things so hard. I was astral projecting. I was like floating like a bodhisattva. I was in such a weird space, like trying to like follow those around.
Oh man, I was there for about 20 minutes, Ryan.
Yes,
just
like,
y'all are insane.
I loved it.
All right, so I have some thoughts, and as we've been talking, I had two thoughts and two bigger topics of discussion. One is I've loved how Robert Jordan creates characters with like a fatal flaw, and those fatal flaws come in to play. But now I'm realizing that there are these cultural flaws that on a bigger level are coming into play. And the idea of the bleakness, like the idea that the Aiel culture is so devoted to an identity that when that gets questioned, like a percentage of them just literally fall apart. And that's that's fun. That's fun to think about. And then how the
That's fun.
no, okay, but yeah, like that the bigger the most obvious one is how the IEL sent their male channels away, and then boom, in the end it comes back and bites them with razor down teeth, right? Like those things are like fun to like notice and appreciate. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that. I think I just finished the circle.
Well, let me ask you a question then. So Couladin's brother went through while Rand went through, and Rand was more or less just watching a documentary. He was just like, "Hey, this is whoa, okay. Now I'm seeing some history. This is cool."
I think that's fair to say, though. Rand was very emotionally entangled in that. He wasn't just watching it; he was experiencing the lives of his ancestors, their memories. He was living those memories.
Sure, but he was nowhere near tearing his eyeballs out.
No, because he had the mental fortitude to withstand it.
Or perhaps not the cultural baggage behind it as well.
Well, I mean, yeah, but there's other people who go through the glass columns who also survive it. So there's a lot. I mean, every clan chief goes through it.
So here's my question. If someone who was of the fortitude of a brotherless, would they have clawed their eyes out, or would they have made it out and just been like, ho hum?
No. Nobody comes out of that thing just ho hum ha. They come out changed, or they don't come out at all.
I mean, okay.
Nobody just comes out and says, "Wow, that's interesting," and moves on.
But
they're changed.
I mean, forever. Rand did.
No, he didn't. Rand did not come out and say, "That is interesting." Rand came out with the knowledge that he is the Karakarn. Rand came out with the knowledge that he knew that he was going to break this very proud people. And that's exactly what he did.
See, I agree with you, David. Rand had a great experience, VR experience. Thankfully, he had a good childhood on a farm. He didn't have, there was no shame. There was no shame. He didn't feel this shame. Everyone who killed themselves or ran off into the desert to die,
so,
it was off of the shame.
And I agree with that. No, I think you're just kind of misspeaking a little bit. He came back changed. Obviously, it was a big pivoting point in his life, and like everything changed. Like for him, it was different after that. But like, he didn't have that emotional, gut wrenching. Like, oh my god, everything I've been doing like is.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I misunderstood what you were saying. Comparing Rand to other people who have gone through the columns.
Right. So Rand went through, and he was just like, oh wow. I mean, he felt emotional. But there was no danger of him feeling the shame to like just carry himself and or whatever. It just he wasn't there because of the culture. He didn't grow up in that culture.
But again, though, Rand had a different experience. But I don't think it could be minimized compared to an Aiel going through those, because Rand, even though he didn't have the emotional attachment to the culture of the Aiel, Rand went in there knowing he was the Dragon Reborn. Rand was going in there to confirm that he was the Karakarn. So he went in there with a mission. He went in there knowing that he was going to, whatever happened, he was going to change the Aiel. There was no doubt in his mind about that. Mm-hmm. So I think he had his own, even though he's not tied to the culture of the Aiel, he knew that when he came back out, if he came back out, he was going to change these people forever.
And prophecy,
and that is its own weight, right? Like a different kind of weight, but it's its own weight,
right? And that's the weird thing about like self-fulfilling a prophecy.
Yeah.
Where Rand's like, well, I got to go to them, but apparently. This is the next step. This is what the book says. I got to go over there.
Yeah, prophecy probably propelled him to make that decision. He could have just gone and seen all that and should have been like, okay, well, I don't want to cause that.
No, because if the Forsaken hadn't been there, and Couladin hadn't been falsely marked with his own 2 dragon tattoos, Rand would have universally been accepted as the Carakarn, because there wouldn't have been anybody else there to question that, to doubt it. You probably still would have had people running away when they learn about their history, but the whole reason why they fled to Al Dal was because Couladin was also going there. They had to try to beat Couladin there. Like, they had to go. So that conflict that the Forsaken created is what led to the fallout of the Aiel in the way that it did. Just led to more chaos. Exactly.
Did Couladin see? I always read it. I knew that Asmodean had created the other tattoo. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that Couladin was in on it, though. Oh. I thought Asmodean just did it. Mm-mm. And he's like, "Fuck! Couladin
and Savannah were in on it, and that's why Savannah, because it was Savannah's husband who Couladin and Savannah were not married when all that happened. Savannah was married to Couladin's brother, and then when he died, she married Couladin later because she wanted the power that would come with being a wife to the clan chief. So
was he a dark one or a dark friend?
I don't think it was dark friend. I think he was just taken advantage of.
Well, because
his brother died. Because remember how pissed off he was because Rand came back and his brother still hadn't. So I think that they just realized that was somebody who was prime for the taking advantage of, that's what the Forsaken were so good at, right? They were so good at looking in on people's you think about when Samael later totally manipulated the Shido, right? All the Shido wise ones with the oh my god, what's it called? The box. The fool's box. What was that box called? Where, and it basically opened up
Chick-fil-A?
No.
Sorry.
No, it was he basically said you'll be able to go and spread the Shido everywhere, and then the gateways shut on them, so it kept them scattered, so that you had little pockets of Shido all over.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that was called. Jansen.
It's a box. It's the fool's box. I can't remember. I'm waiting for Light Bride and Fool to tell me because it's a card. Right. It's a card in the Third Age game, and I can't remember what the name of the.
All right. While we're waiting, the poll is closed.
So I am cool. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I know. I lost. I'm blasting.
All right. So it's do dark male channelers get protected from the taint? 59% yes, 41% said no.
Yeah.
So I mean that's inconclusive. Okay. Yeah. You couldn't like if this is a medication trial, we'd have to start all over, start a new batch. All right, so David Ryan said the taint is only to mess with people who say no to the dark one. A bit like if you don't join me, you go crazy. Yeah, you hold that over someone's head.
Well, why would every dark or male channeler then become a dark friend?
You can just say it and then pull a Varys.
Narbaha, thank you, light blinded fool. I knew he'd come in handy and clutch. The Narbaha, the fool's box. Those are the boxes that Samael gave to all of the Shido, and all of the wise ones opened them, and different holds and steps of the Shido went through different places, and that's why the Shido were rampaging in all of the different places in the Westlands. They weren't united. They weren't all together.
All right, we can turn off the poll, Ryan. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it was still on my box, so I just.
God, I'm having weird shit. Oh no, the poll's still going. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. A traveling box or a Narbaha, a full box in the old talk. You guys are all so awesome.
They are. No, yeah. My next new thought that I had was
Deep
about
thoughts with Ryan.
Wait, real
it's-
fast,
Yeah.
real fast, real fast,
Yes,
real fast,
yes.
real fast. Did Couladin go to Ruidian at all?
Nope.
He just ran around the corner.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. No, he pissed in the
I
bleachers.
got fooled. No, I got fooled. I read it twice and I still got fooled. Okay. Yeah. He was taking pictures. He was pissing next to land on a tree.
Yeah, because it was like I think we even debated like whether or not he was in on it with
Or
the Forsaken, or it just kind of happened. He he went through the thing, came out, and Asmodean just put him on him without him knowing, and that's why
Yeah,
he
and
was
he's like-
so like he
Yeah, he was
believed
part of
so
it.
hard.
He was a willing. He was a willing participant.
So he's just a good actor, better actor than a spear
I mean,
thrower.
remember when interrupted by Brother Dan. Remember
well,
when they were all at Alcardal, right? And Rand is telling the story, and people don't want to believe it. And Couladin was like, "He's telling lies. He's telling lies." And then that's when like Ruark and other clan chiefs step up and say, Rand is telling the truth. Rand is telling the truth. So that's like, that was the worst thing that they wanted to do. They did not want everybody, they did not want to support somebody who was going to break their culture, break their nation. That's
so
possible, but I don't
layers.
think so. I think he was just a willing participant because he was still duplicitous about it. I just think he was a willing participant. I don't think he was compelled because he had what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Shit. I can't think of the expression I'm trying to think of.
Shido TARDIS.
TARDIS. Yes. Yes. A one-way TARDIS. One
It's
way.
interesting. It's interesting how like you'd almost expect that the Aiel would revolt in a way against the clan chiefs, right? Like they are the ones holding this lie that they are emotionally reacting to, and we don't really see that, or do we? And I'm forgetting it. It seems like you would have like a huge like, what the fuck, like he's saying this and you're gonna confirm it. You've known this all along, and you know what I mean. That whole business,
Mm-hmm.
like it's fascinating that they didn't like get pissed off about that. That seems like the thing that would make me most mad.
That's not to say that they weren't pissed off about it. I just think that the society of the Aiel is so regimented and so structured, and everybody has a place and everybody has a purpose. It's the only way that you can survive in a place like that, right? So you put your faith in your clan chiefs and your wise ones, and you're going there. And so I just don't think, I think there probably was anger and resentment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think that the rigidity of the, structure of Aiel society probably kept them from either running away or towing the line and reluctantly accepting that what your clan chief and your wise ones say is true.
I think you make a great point, Ryan. The betrayal within someone that you trust. I mean, you have a threefold land, and the first thing is it's all about the sin. And it's like, what sin? And they're like, I don't know. No one knows. But guess what? Yeah, tons of people know.
Yeah,
they know, but they think that information is too damaging for us to know. It's a really interesting statement, right?
Well, doesn't that go back though? Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, it goes back to how, like you said, they have a very rigid society, correct? How do you maintain that? How do you get people to like suffer for a greater good? You do it through manipulation, right? Like, and you do it through like in America, it's patriotism. For them, it's like the sense of Aiel identity. And
right. I mean, well, think about it this way, right? They are a proud people.
Well,
right?
and a lot of
and pride comes before the fall. They were a proud people.
Couladin, it wasn't doing that much more than the clan chiefs and the wise ones were doing by just keeping silent. It was just an assumed thing. And Couladin was like doing the propaganda out loud. I don't think that necessarily means he didn't know. He could have just been straight out lying, which everyone has been doing for thousands of years.
No, he didn't know. You could tell in the way, if you read the passage of the confrontation of Rand and Couladin, he didn't know.
Yeah, you're right.
He didn't know.
I'm just stirring pots.
Now but like it's so Robert Jordan, like, he seems to be examining like identity in a lot of ways through the different cultures we meet, and there are times when like that sense of identity seems to be very, very beneficial, right? Moraine reminds Two Rivers of their Manetheren heritage, and they somehow like level up. Malkir, like, just being able to like ride behind Lan, like everyone behind them, like that identity to Malkiri, they all level up, right? But then we look at the Aiel, and they have this kind of insane rigidity to like a belief system about what's right and wrong, et cetera, and it backfires. It's a bad thing. It's a crutch that gets pulled out from underneath them, and they're all like toppling over.
But it's not a bad thing in the eyes of the Aiel after they accept it, because it means that their punishment is over. Their time in the Threefold Land is over. Their time of being castigated and relegated to, with Rand coming, it's the beginning of a new age for the Aiel. That's how they look at it. They are no longer, they're a broken people, but they're no longer bound by as being oath breakers. They have, it's almost like in Christianity, the new covenant. So
New Test,
that's basically, the breaking of the old covenant, and that's what Rand did. Rand is a savior who breaks them and saves them at the same time. And when you look at the later books and you look at the Aiel perspectives and the points of view, you see that it's an enlightening for the Aiel who follow Rand, because they realize that they're no longer chained to the Aiel waste. They're no longer required to. Are the Aiel a cult? No, they're a race of people. They are a closed. They're, what's the word when Japan? What were isolationists? They were an isolated society that had thousands of years to build their culture. They're not homogenous like the Westlands are, right? And they're probably somewhat.
How
do
we know why the different septs ever formed?
I'm sure there's history out there. I don't know it. Okay. I've never dived that deep.
Let me look up sept. It's right here in the old companion. See if it says anything. Go on.
Yeah, no, I just those were my thoughts. Those were the points I was thinking about. It kind of got my brain going down that path. Different levels of looking at it. But yeah, we could wrap this bad boy up if we've exhausted the conversation. Beth, while you're looking, how about Beth? You want to tell everyone about your new exciting venture?
Yes, I'm so excited. Oh, that did not come across well. What is that big, huge flowing thing in the back? There we go. Better? Thank you. Yes, okay. It's much better. Thank you.
I don't know what happened there.
We have a podcast that's coming out. 4 of us. Called Delving the Chronicles, and it is myself, friend of the channel Dana Lou.
Oh, come on.
That doesn't help.
Friend of the channel Dana Lou, Zool, Koala Sadai, and Morshadi. The 4 of us have come together to form a podcast called Delving the Chronicles, and we're kind of deep diving into topics that we don't think are really talked about a lot in the Wheel of Time, comparing it to environmentalism, the human condition. What is the definition of like a utopian society? Can a utopian society fail? Is it doomed to fail? Can it be successful? And episode 0 is dropping tonight. That's like our introduction episode. And you can find us on all major podcast areas. Delving Chronicles. And we are also on Twitter, and we're Delvers of Time on Twitter. And I'm super excited.
At Delvers of Time.
At Delvers of Time.
All right, everyone.
Put on your hard hats, everybody. We're going to go deep.
We need the Way the Leaf bump. All right, I'm gonna following right now.
Yes, it's going to be very exciting. I know Shadi was in chat earlier. I'm not sure what time podcast is going to be released, but it's supposed to come out tonight. No, it is an audio podcast only, so it will be on. It might be released on YouTube and just audio. I'm not behind all of that. Shadi, if you're still here, can you expound? Is it going to be on YouTube as well? Anyway,
Shadi.
I think more Shadi might be busy.
That's fine.
But anyway, Delving Chronicles, Delvers of Time on Twitter. And
you got 7 followers now. Let's get this up. Let's double it.
Yeah.
Go the way to leave.
Yeah, super excited.
Well, if you want us to be on, let us. I'll check my calendar.
Oh yeah. So can you drop a link somewhere?
Yes. Do I have link capacities in?
You could just do it in private chat and I'll put it up.
Okay. Of course, I have to.
All right, David Ryan. Usually don't trust a person with 2 first names, but you're my new favorite.
I like David Ryan. Man, you were a good commenter. You had some good points, brother.
Oh yeah. All right, so here we go. The link is live. I'm going to drop it right now.
Do it.
And
I'm sure that it's going to be. We'll use Twitter time or Twitter to announce when podcasts are being released. Yeah. I think we're aiming for every other Sunday. Thank you.
It's a good.
I don't know. Yeah, we could use this as an opportunity to talk about us as well. Like every episode of Tavern Talk is posted in a podcast format and a live video format on YouTube. So there's a playlist if you just want to sit and listen to this and madness. It is in podcast. So yeah, all you got to do is upload an audio file in with your cover photo, and then as a static image, and then just put it into the podcast list.
I'm sure that Shadi is on top of all that. Shadi and Koala, they're kind of handling the editing technical side. And so I'm super excited. Hopefully you won't get tired of us too quickly.
And who knew you had just the most amazing graphic design? That you made this, correct?
I did.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
I absolutely love it. So good.
Thank you.
Well, all right.
Awesome input from my co-hosts, but yeah, finally got it done. Change this font. Make it a little brighter. Do this. Yeah, it was great. So
it's only because they care.
Yeah, and they're a bunch of perfectionists. So yeah, we're all perfectionists. It's fantastic. But thanks for letting me plug the podcast. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
No. Every week, let's do it. Everyone stick around or come back on Tuesday for our first time reader show. This Tuesday is a very special event. The Wheel Reads podcast and the Leafcast have reached the same chapters. We finally caught up with each other, so we're doing a special. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
It's wild. So yeah, we are going to host the Wheel Reads and run those guys through how we run the show, and then Alan's going to be on the Leafcast as a host, and he's going to run the Leafcast the way he runs his show, and we're just going to mix it up, try and cross promote and help each other out. They're the greatest guys. Yeah, really
the most exciting chapters ever.
Yeah. Again, yeah, we're of all the books to catch up. Woo!
Chapters 19 to 20.
There's so much lace.
Egwin, Elaine.
Baths. All right, hey everyone. The Way of the Leaf hopes you have the greatest Pride Month of your life. Remember, be as gay.
Happy Pride.
Yeah. Be as gay as you want to be.
That's our motto. Be as gay as you want to be.
Or non-binary, or trans as you want to be. Or queer as you want to be. Yeah,
Yep.
all of it.
You gotta list them all.
All
No,
of it.
no, you gotta list them all
Or
now.
intersex
Yeah,
as you
all-
want to be, or asexual as you want to be. Live your best life.
Live your best life. Indeed. Let your flag fly whatever color it may have.
Yes.
Unless it's hateful. Then don't do that.
All right,
guys.
everyone. From
Talk
me
to
to
you, Alito.
No kidding.
Boom. All right.